the stock market, meaning companies' new highs.
I'm not fucking leaving. The show goes on. Nuts, they're nuts. They know nothing.
An online network called Internet.
Well, it's very hip to be on the internet right now.
Welcome, my degenerates. The rest of your life starts right now here on Market Mania, the no bullshit approach to all financial markets, including Ethereum 2.0, Playboy NFTs, Bitcoin, and of course, the largest casino in the world, the U.S. stock market. Gentlemen, how are we doing today, Matt?
Getting killed today. Down like funds down like 4%. Everything's getting crushed.
Oh man, Brett, anything better on your end of the world?
I only slept like 4 hours, but I don't have a fund and it's not getting crushed, so I guess I'm in a better spot.
Man, some of these prices of these stocks, like just random stocks you're looking at, like, I mean, even like just this random stock like Penn National went from 140 to now 86 in a matter of weeks. That's not even like a tech stock. Some of these tech stocks are destroyed. Fubo down to 18, Spice, whatever, Virgin Atlantic Spice, 2084 from like, what, 60 or something? I don't know.
Well, a lot of those insiders sold big for Virgin Galactic.
Yeah, first Chamath did, then Branson did, and then Kathy Wood sold yesterday for an ARK for the first time. She sold Space, which is weird. Jemiah down, your African Amazon down to 28. Where was that? Like 70?
That was one of my best picks on my tracker.
Even the Bitcoin stocks are getting killed now.
Well, I mean, Doge is the real Bitcoin, some say. So.
Oh man.
Yeah, Bitcoin's not going down, but Bitcoin stocks are getting crushed.
Where the hell was that last week when I was shorting fucking MicroStrategy again, and I lost shorting it again?
Even Coinbase is down $20 today.
The markets are wild. There's no doubt about it. I'm a new investor, more or less, couple years into crypto, couple years into the stocks, and honestly, it's been completely wild for me as an experience. I can relate a lot to Micon and Brett's, fear of the markets and the crypto side. Also, Matt, talking about how high things have been. It's a very interesting time for new investors. So we're going to keep going and try our best. I'm going to get onto the topic of Ethereum 2.0 on Coinbase, which I found to be super interesting. They're basically allowing you to deposit or eventually trade for these tokens where they're going to say, we don't know when this is going to be live, right? So part of the Ethereum 2.0 transition is that there's a big game theory method where all these different people are depositing into these smart contracts. And once there's enough ETH locked into the system, then they're going to try to transfer it over. And they don't know when that's going to happen. So one of the ideas that they came up with is that part of this is going to remove the proof of work element from Ethereum and make it a pure proof of stake chain. Well, that means Coinbase has an infinite amount of Ethereum, more or less. They're going to be getting a ton of these rewards. So part of the DeFi, movement right now is let's going to get some of these savings and earnings onto the customers as well. So Coinbase just decided, hey, we don't know when the heck Ethereum 2.0 is going to be live, but whatever you help us put in there, we're going to pay you 6% from now to then, and let's see what happens. So I think this is a great solution and a great product that most retail customers are not going to be heavy into the advanced crypto stuff. Matt doesn't even get it, right? So
no, not at all.
And so with that, this is a much, much, much simpler. It's a really good long-term product for the everyday customer that says, look, I probably want to put some money in Ethereum. I don't know where it's going to go from here. But if I do small bits or dollar cost average in or buy a little bit here and there, and I just hold on to it for a few years, it's probably going to do awesome. And most people in crypto can agree with that. Even if I don't want to recommend to my friends buying Ethereum at this price necessarily, do I believe Ethereum is going to be fine in 5 years? Yeah, of course. So to me, this is an interesting compromise, an interesting game theory solution, and something that the future of this network could rely a lot on.
Yeah, I think this product offering is interesting from Coinbase. There's definitely like higher percents that you can earn out there if you go and like DeFi on your own. There's a fair amount of risk there, obviously, also both with just controlling your own personal information, and then as well, like projects get rugged all the time or whatever. You need to use bankroll management. It's much easier to just say, hey, Coinbase, you deal with that, give me 6%, which to like a normie investor, that looks amazing. They're getting like 0.1% or something in the traditional sector. So I think that 6% is still compelling for a lot of customers. And there's like a fair amount to say for that set it and forget it. But in terms of ETH2 launch, there have been a million promises around that. Most have been unfulfilled, which is a bit of the sort of playbook of Ethereum. They definitely, similar to maybe a Tesla or something, they really like to overhype launches. So I'm in believe it when I see it mode. I think it'll be cool if and when it launches, but I'm not holding my breath.
And to your point, I also agree with that. ETH is kind of a lot of talk, but they're still the loudest voice in the room. They're still the most developers working on it. It's still the largest non-Bitcoin that exists. And for me, I think it's going to be around for 5-10 years. And what is the network going to do over that time? Well, I think a lot, right? So I actually was having this conversation recently, like what is Ethereum compared to other types of markets? What is it like in this space? And I think it's like the Microsoft. So when I think of Ethereum, I think of it a lot as like Windows 95. It's a lot of people's first kind of entrance into this whole new world. And will Microsoft be a good buy in 92? Well, yeah, of course, that obviously would have played out well. But I see a lot of similarities there. And I just see all of the ways that the network's growing and changing just being really useful in the future.
Yeah, I think Ethereum, to me, it's the whale research chain. There's a ton of cool activity happening there, but it's really expensive to use. They've optimized for decentralization, which is admirable. And it also like makes people feel secure putting all this money into the space. But the downside of that is that it's really expensive because there's only a certain amount of transactions that can happen due to this really big focus on decentralization. So you get these really expensive transactions and a lot of like retail moves to Binance Chain or Solana or much faster chains because most people don't really care about that level of decentralization. And a lot of the cool work on Ethereum is open source. So it's very easy to just copy paste it onto something much less decentralized, give the same user experience until you don't, if there's some problem, for a lot cheaper. So I think it'll be around, but is it going to get mass consumer adoption? I think is like a very real question about Ethereum.
Cool.
All very valid points. I was trying to play around in the DeFi streets recently and multiple $100 transaction fees. I had to reject because the math just absolutely doesn't make sense for most of the transactions my size. So certainly this is, their attempt to solve that problem. And, hopefully it works out. All right, let's get a little transition here. The top may be in, as Mycon would say, the Playboy NFTs. What have you got here, Tony?
Well, I guess we're all going to be asking ourselves, are we willing to pay transaction fees for these NFTs, as mans would call them? The thing is, Playboy, after announcing this, saw that their company valuations started to resemble a lot of their clients here. See if I can bring up a chart. In other words, going straight up, it looks like there's some profit taking over the last few days here, but the news of this has really driven their stock, which has been moribund for months, right back up through the roof, starting to give people those crypto gains that we're getting used to in the stock market now. So I guess my question, Mike, is are NFTs going to be something that companies like this can rely on to keep their stock price up, or is this a passing fad and they can be looking at dropping back down to their historical prices once we've absorbed the NFT craze? What do you think?
The first thing that comes to mind for me was somewhat like Overstock.com, and I was only a observer from the outside of that stock for a while, but it just felt like they would just go out of their way to mention Bitcoin in bull markets, and they would use it to pump their stock and whatnot. And that could be not quite very accurate, but that's just kind of the way I remember it. It just feels like they're what is Playboy's business model these days, right? How is this company making money? You're not going to get your Ethereum nerds to buy Playboy NFTs. This is not at all something that I see working. It's trying to cross generation too much. It's trying too hard. I'm out on this.
Interesting. Brett, are you going to trade in your Marilyn Monroe Playboy for a Marilyn Monroe NFT?
I don't think I've ever bought a Playboy. To be fair, I've read a couple of articles from time to time.
Yeah, I read it for the articles too.
But I honestly don't even know what this company's been doing. I mean, Hugh Hefner was like the guy, and then he died, and so it's just like, to me, it's like kind of like the corpse of what used to be something is kind of just soldiering on, would be my guess. So I'm not surprised they're trying to cash in on NFTs. One area I would disagree with Michael a bit on, though, is NFTs are becoming quite, I would say, popular and accessible to normies. Like, you don't have to be an Ethereum diehard to be interested in NFTs. We've seen Top Shot's popularity. Topps Baseball, they're doing an NFT drop today. I think that like a lot of the problem with NFTs is securing them and transacting with them. So I think the more centralized platforms like Top Shot currently are having more success at bringing NFTs to the mass audience because they're basically just holding them for you. But I think the average person's interested in these digital collectibles. I don't know about Playboy. I've seen people say that like they think porn NFTs would be big. I disagree because like porn is a particularly like private endeavor. And blockchain, it's all on chain. So unless you have your burner address, like you don't want to mix up, you put the wrong thing in your address, and then it's like you're just like broadcasting your Pornhub search history to the world, which a lot of people don't want to do. In any event, I'm out on this also.
You know, it just brings to mind, just wait till some starlet or celebrity gets their sex tape leaked accidentally, and that gets printed on the blockchain for all time, and that gets traded up. Can you just imagine? I don't know. What a world we're entering.
Hasn't that already happened on Silk Road? It had to have.
It must have. Every good idea I've had, someone's already had it long before me. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. Tell us about Netflix next, please.
All right. Thanks for stopping by. Tony, the producer. Matt, what have you got on these Netflix earnings? You're still muted.
Good. Hopefully the landscapers aren't loud anymore, so that's why I was on mute, so you guys wouldn't hear it sound like a hairdryer, but it was
Much appreciated.
Landscapers, yeah. So Netflix is reporting after the bell. They're expecting earnings per share of $2.98, $7 billion in revenue. That's what the street's forecasting. We don't care about that kind of stuff. We just want to know what's the stock going to do. So stock's down $5 today. It's $550 a share. We all know Netflix is killing it. The business is great. Nobody's getting rid of the Netflix. But the stock movement usually after earnings is all about future subscriber growth. So the question is, what do we think about future subscriber growth from here? Are they still expanding, internationally in this country? I don't see them expanding that much going forward from right now. I think their growth is going to slow. So even though I love the business, I think they could potentially raise prices down the road. They create more revenue. I think that this is one of those earnings quarters where the stock's going to either pretty much be flat after earnings announcement or go down. I don't think there's much upside to this. Brett, have you looked at Netflix at all?
Yeah.
As far as what you think their future entails.
So one, I canceled my subscription this month.
Wow.
I got the price alert up, going up, and I hardly ever use it. So I'll go months without using it. So that was just I'll just turn it off. However, I was looking at it the other day, the stock, and the market cap started seeming quite attractive to me. Just historically, I feel it ran probably maybe a little early, and then it hasn't gone up as much as a lot of other things. So I was the way some of these valuations are now, instead of Netflix being oh, that's kind of an overvalued thing, it seems quite reasonable to me. However, as you said, we care about the short-term trading. So I'll defer to your judgment on that. But I think long-term, look how flat, I guess that's only the 5-day, but it hasn't gone up that much. I think if you like this product, you like this business, I think, there's a lot of other pandemic type companies that did way better during the pandemic than Netflix. So I think it's a reasonable long-term play. But as you say, if you think it's short or it's going to go down or flat, I wouldn't.
I don't have a position in it. But if I was going to play the earnings in Netflix, I would probably be selling upside calls, just naked selling upside calls. Not it's not like the stock's going to double overnight or something like that. It could go up, but I think more likely it's going to.
Famous last words.
Hover 550 or go down. That's my guess. So that would be my play going forward.
In this market, man, who knows? It could double overnight, the way some of these stocks have traded.
It'd be tough for Netflix to double.
It would be tough.
I'd be happy to call that bluff.
It would be tough, but I mean, there's a fucking. We're gonna get to it next. This deli is trading at $100 million.
Much better chance of Deli doubling
true.
overnight than Netflix. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Like 1,000 times more likely.
million probably.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you already did the transition for me, so let's get to it. This deli has a $100 million valuation. Is that what I understand, Brett?
It's down to like 80 million today.
Oh, it's getting crushed today. I'm imagining this news is catching up. What do you got for us here?
So it is one deli in New Jersey. We covered it briefly last Friday. David Einhorn, in his investor update, called it out. Like, where the hell are the regulators? Here's a picture of the deli. This thing, it's one deli, physical deli, no other business. They did like 30,000 in revenue last year, or I think that might have been the year before, and only 15,000 because of the pandemic. It's trading at $100 million, now 80 million. And David Einhorn's like, where the hell are the regulators on this? And so Monday, it pumped 2%. It went up. It kind of became a meme stock, which that's like the phase of the market we're in when like a really famous and respected investor, obviously he hasn't necessarily done great recently, but a great value investor is like, hey, look at this. This is ridiculous. And people go buy it. It's down a bit today. I'm not sure what the volumes are on this. So there it is. But I don't even know what that means. Matt, what does this 7,000 volume mean? Shares traded?
Yeah. I mean, it's not a liquid stock, so it's like, kind of like fugazi.
It's all OTC. Apparently the guy behind it like has a criminal history. He's some 78-year-old from North Carolina who has like a long criminal history. I don't know what the play is, if they're using this stock price to like take loans out or some other thing. But in any event, I just find it interesting that it went up. Even though it's down a bit today. Look at that green candle, though. It went down and then people bought it back up. So, like, I mean, this is the market, man. Memes, no one
There's
cares.
no volume in it spread, so it doesn't really mean much.
Yeah. Well, there's some, right? 7,000 shares.
Yeah, which is anybody could just buy 1,000 shares and move it. So
yeah, that's a lot of money. You want to put 13 dimes into this thing?
Well, I'm saying somebody could try to manipulate it by just buying a couple thousand shares and not putting much money into it to manipulate.
Matt, I hear what you're saying without hearing what you're saying.
Yeah. Mike understands.
All right.
It's not like
I didn't look at the volume. I didn't look at the volume.
7,000 shares all day. There's not really much to take from it other than it's just numbers on a screen.
Well, that's today, by the way. Yesterday it did more volume. Just to point out when it went up 2%.
Okay.
All right. Well, with that, I think it's time to put on the safety goggles. It is time for the Market Mania pick of the day. All right. Safety glasses are on. It's time for the pick of the day. Who are we starting with?
We could start with me.
All right, Matt, lead us off. What do you
My
got?
pick today is Moderna. Most people know it's the mRNA technology company. They're the ones who developed it. They're crushing it. It seems like they're going to cure everything, cure every virus, disease, whatever. It seems like to me. So it's all genetics, and they got to figure it out. I like it. 154.84.
All right, Matt's trying to get unstuck with Moderna. Richie, what do you got?
I'm gonna short Tilray. In this meme-driven world, today's 420. Buy the news, sell the rumor. Whatever. I didn't sleep. Whatever. I think shorting this thing is reasonable. After just like trading it like a meme. 420 hit. Okay, now we go short the pod stocks.
All right, we are keeping it real on 420, shorting the pot stocks. All right, I'm just going to go with ETH 2.0 because I'm an idiot and I just want to get a little interest and hopefully my money does better a few years from now than it's going to do today. That's all I got for the picks of the day, gentlemen. Thanks for having me on. Any closing thoughts here? Oh, wait, I got to read a little quote here since Matt forgot one yesterday. I feel the need to read some poetry from an American artist known as Drake. And it goes a little something like this. From the hit, Hell Yeah, Fucking Right. It goes, she asked what have I learned since getting richer. I learned working with the negatives could make for better pictures. I learned Hennessy and enemies is one hell of a mixture. Even though it's fucked up, I'm still fucking with ya. That's all we got for Market Mania on 420. Subscribe on the Twitters and YouTubes. And that's all we got for you now.
I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine. I never sleep if I don't have. I never sleep. I never sleep if I don't have my medicine.
Time to right the wrongs. Throw your hands in the air if you like the song. If you're going over there, take it twice as long. Last time ain't talking about Tylenol. Oh, I bet you'd like to know. You can come around the way if you're trying to go. If you want to switch lanes for a pot of gold, or a domino, out of control. The usual. Get mad cause I'm looking at your girl.
Switch it up.
I do it so much louder than everything you've heard. Everybody heard, got the word that the world wasn't turning. Act like you're in a jury. However, turn it where I would turn it. Can't lie like it's Mississippi burning. Don't act like you're in a daze. I mad should've looked the other way. Couldn't clear space on my mind. Was afraid of the time. Strobe lights like in the moonlight. I'm in the mood right now. How about tonight? My interview's tight now. I was